LeBron James nears a return to action, possibly as soon as this afternoon. It's been a month of MLS. What would you give as an honest assessment of the LA Galaxy? And Bobby Wagner returns to Seattle, which makes him a frenemy to the Rams? Who knows? Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. I want to thank the Galaxy fans for getting me started on my weekend hangover very early yesterday. It was a good time with them up here in Portland. It is March 26, 2023. You can tell how much I had to drink. It's still the Lord's Day. Let's give thanks to Him for everything that He's given us in life. For example, multiple new subscribers to the channel. I appreciate every last one of you. And if you like the content that we put out about LA sports, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Like hangover relief is a great idea. Before we go through the news and notes, though, a look at the scoreboard. Yesterday was just not a good day for the Clippers, I gotta tell you. They lose to New Orleans, 131-110. Bones Highland led with 18 points, but much worse, Kawhi Leonard left the game with a facial contusion. Contusion's a fancy pants word for bruise. The problem is this, they're already down Paul George. If there's something really wrong with Kawhi Leonard, that's going to be a massive problem for them. Meanwhile, the Kings keep moving along. They have collected points in 11 consecutive games. That ties a franchise record. They beat down the Winnipeg Jets 4-1. The game that I watched yesterday, well, the Galaxy and Portland, they jogged around the park for a while. They totally forgot to put a ball in the net. Nothing more pathetic than a scoreless game, I swear to God. La-di-da. LA is winless in its first 4 games this year. We had a rapid recap of that game last night, but we're going to go into it a little more in a minute. Finally, LAFC, they take care of business. Dennis Bouanga scored his 3rd MLS goal, 5th in all competitions so far this year. The Black and Gold defeat FC Dallas 2-1. Today, Chicago is at the Lakers at 12:30. The Lakers have not been over 500 this year. That could be accomplished if they beat down the Bulls today. Welcome back, Patrick Beverley. Welcome back, Alex Caruso. The Kings are also going to play again today. They host St. Louis at 7:30. LA has not allowed more than 2 goals in a game in 10 consecutive games. Their defense, their goaltending, completely tightened up. LeBron James has been listed as doubtful for today's game. Doubtful, which sounds bad unless you compare it to how he's been listed for the previous 13 games, which is out. This is an upgrade to refer to him as doubtful. So now we're starting to wonder if the tendon issues in his right foot have cleared up enough for him to actually participate in a game. Now, the Lakers, they haven't been terrible in his absence. People thought that this was going to be the death knell to their season. They've been 8-5 without him. Now, Darvin Ham simply said that James is, quote, progressing as normal, unquote. But when you consider the fact that Chicago is a very poor team, the idea of LeBron James at least going out there for a few minutes sounds possible, especially with the upgrade. Austin Reeves is a truthful fellow. He says he wants to stay in LA, but, quote, anybody who says we don't play the game for the money, to me, is lying, unquote. And I appreciate that. A good friend of mine did a bit called The Love of the Game when we were both comics. He still is. He was the point of The Love of the Game. No, they're doing it for the money. They're not doing it for the love of the game. It was a solid bit. Reeves, he went undrafted, but in 2 years in the NBA alone, he has proven himself to be a very capable and certainly dependable player on the roster. He could be their 3rd best player. He could be. I mean, look, you might say, wait a second, D'Angelo Russell is their 3rd best player, but Russell gets hurt. Reeves doesn't. Extremely durable. The belief is that Reeves will attract something like 4 years for $50 million. However, is he worth that? And as a follow-up question, if you ask that question, are you racist? The reason I bring that up is because Reeves has a hater, former NBA player Rashad McCants, last seen huffing and puffing his way up and down a half court in the Big Three basketball league with Ice Cube. McCants told some podcaster that I've never heard of that if Reeves gets that $50 million, it's because he's white and because the Lakers are trash. After that, McCants asked what is a podcast and told everyone to get off his lawn. But with that said, it is a decent question, not the racism part. Does Austin Reeves deserve $50 million? Is he qualified? Is he their third best player? Because if he is, then $50 million is kind of a bargain. I try to seek opinions if the opportunity is there, because I'm not omnipotent. I don't know everything. So when MLS legend Sasha Kljestan went on Twitter yesterday and solicited questions for Apple TV, I asked, what is the cause of the disconnect between the Galaxy midfielders and forwards? That was the big takeaway. I try not to be too hard judging a team until I see them live. And again, saw the Galaxy play Portland yesterday. Portland was down a bunch of players. A bunch. Portland, because of those injuries, posed no offensive threat to the Galaxy whatsoever. The Timbers didn't even register a shot in the first half. So that field was tilted all in favor of LA. Meanwhile, LA completes more passes. They complete the highest percentage of passes to a teammate in MLS. They went into the game completing 88% of their passes. And in addition to that, they lead MLS in possession. They don't lose possession. So to me, what that signals is we're looking at a team that does a great job of passing the ball, except to their strikers. Because what is a striker going to do when they get the ball? They shoot. That's the point of being a striker. If you're a striker, you don't get the ball looking to facilitate offense. You look to put the ball in the net. And it doesn't matter to me if the striker is Chicharito, Dejan Joveljic, both of them who were out yesterday, or Preston Judd. So in my opinion, something is keeping the ball from getting to the strikers in a position to where they can shoot or have a good shot. So that's what I wanted to do. I figured there was a disconnect between the midfielders and the forwards. So I decided to ask a question as part of Apple TV's MLS 360 broadcast. This is what they all had different opinions. And originally, you would think that those opinions do not coincide with each other because, of course, they want to debate. I don't think that they're that disconnected. If you take their opinions and put them together, they could add up to a big truth about the LA Galaxy offense. For example, Kalen Kyle said that the problem with the midfielders is that they're not pushing forward. Instead, they're playing the ball too much side to side instead of attacking. You take what Kljestan said. Kljestan said that it all boiled down to the final pass from midfield to forward. Can't you put those two opinions together and come up with a cohesive opinion? That the problem with the LA Galaxy offense is that they're too busy jerking around from side to side, that they're not in a position to make that last forward pass. If you're looking to the side, if you're always looking to the side, when do you make that forward pass? You don't. So that's my opinion of the LA Galaxy offense. To me, having watched them finally in person, I would argue that the Galaxy is 1/3 of a team. That's it. 1/3. And that 1/3 that works is their back line. And oh, by the way, as an addition to that, the reason that back line works now is because Jalen Neal has stabilized it. Jalen Neal. Ever since Neal started for Chris Mavinga, LA has conceded just one goal. 3 games, 1 goal. The difference between the Galaxy defense in game 1 and the last 3 is Jalen Neal. That makes him an impact player. Honestly, through the first 4 weeks of the season, Jalen Neal could literally be the Galaxy MVP. And I realize how young he is, but that is a hill I'm willing to die on. So in total, this does not look like a good soccer team. The Galaxy are not a good soccer team right now. Greg Vandy is talking a good game about what this team will become eventually. But how many years have we been hearing that? They're still not good. And how can they become anything when they are restricted from adding players in a month? Thank you, Chris Klein, for that. Thank you for getting caught in a cheating scandal. So they may not be terrible. They may not earn the wooden spoon again. But this is not a good soccer team. And frankly, that's typical Chris Klein. It's Chris Klein's fault. Bobby Wagner is returning to Seattle with a 1-year, $7 million deal. I can't say I have a problem with it. He was amazing for Seattle. Then he signed a 1-year deal with the Rams, and he was amazing with them too. He remains one of the game's best linebackers. So the odd thing to me, though, is that he returned to Seattle after leaving Seattle on bad terms. But hey, $7 million. That mends a lot of fences, wouldn't you say? Every so often, the bloggers win one argument. It kind of reminds me of trolling the bar at 1:30, looking like a sad sack, trying to get me a little bit of sex on that desperation of trying to be right. That's what bloggers are to me, being so absolutely desperate. Lightning strikes once in a while, boom, they're right. The reason I bring this up about bloggers, the Dodger bloggers were begging for Andre Jackson to make the roster. Well, make sure to pull out before that third minute strikes, bloggers. You were right. Andre Jackson is now the long reliever. But having said that, Jackson, what allowed him to make the club? Right? Last year, he kind of stunk up the joint. He walked 61 batters in 75 2/3 innings. What was the difference? To his credit, Jackson had a very blunt response. Instead of breaking down things analytically, instead of trying to reinvent his windup and whatever, the Dodgers coaches told him, just chuck it. Just chuck the ball and see what happens. And that built the confidence back up, according to Jackson. Stop thinking, just throw it. So kudos to the Dodgers coaching staff for possibly rescuing Jackson's career. The Athletic ranked starting pitchers, the top 50 in the majors, put them in tiers. Tiers, as opposed to making them get emo. Julio Urias is ranked as the 16th best starter in Major League Baseball, all the way down to tier 3. Now, to put it in context, however, 5 teams have 2 starters that are ahead of Julio Urias. So this Dodger rotation, possibly not as dominant as we have been led to believe. Possibly. 3 of the teams that have two starters that are better than Julio Urias, they're all in the NL East. So no matter what team you play for, you better hope you're not going to be facing the Phillies, the Mets, the Atlanta in a short series, because you could be in trouble. Clayton Kershaw is the 20th best starting pitcher. They say he has an immaculate resume for Cooperstown, which I absolutely agree with. The idea that San Diego has better pitching than the Dodgers, though, no, not according to The Athletic. Yu Darvish is ranked number 22nd, and he is their best pitcher. They put him in a tier called boring but good. So that is the best you could hope from the Padres pitching. Chris Taylor's role appears to be diminishing with the Dodgers, at least at the start of the season. He is going to only start so far against left-handers, and every so often he might give Miguel Rojas a break at shortstop. Why? Well, Taylor struck out 23 times in 57 plate appearances. And by the way, Trace Thompson could see himself in a very similar limited role quick for the same reason. James Outman is likely going to get the start in the outfield against right-handers, not Thompson. The Athletic listed the biggest needs for NFL teams after the first wave of free agency and wrote that the Chargers' biggest need is edge rushing depth. Now, you may disagree if you're a Chargers fan. The receiving room is a little weak. They can't stop the run. But last year, if you think about it, when Joey Bosa got hurt, they had Kyle Van Noy to plug and play immediately. They don't have that right now. Van Noy is a free agent. And so the point being is, if Joey Bosa gets hurt, the team is toast. Because if you think about it, without Kyle Van Noy, the Chargers do not make the playoffs last year. So when you take a look at where the Chargers are weak, which one could be the 5-alarm fire? It appears to be edge rusher. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Let me know what you think about LeBron possibly playing today. Let me know what you think of my assessment on the LA Galaxy's offensive woes. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.